Well, we're coming up on a year of me owning the 2019 Hobie Outback, and this is the longest I've actually ever owned a kayak without selling it and wanting something different. So we're well past the honeymoon stage, so I'm going to go over all the pros and cons, since I pretty much know them all now for having it a year. So we'll just start from front to back, and there's a couple of pros and cons I think I added while I was on the water, but it's basically been too windy to do anything on the water. So alright, we'll start with just the front end in general. It's a little bit lower profile than the other kayaks I've owned, so you do get wet. I'll show you some the chop part here. So that's definitely one of the cons, but it's also a positive because it's a little bit more wind resistant. It's going to lead me to another con. Is this is, I don't know, this is not very much chop in my opinion, and just a wet ride, which is completely fine in the warmer months. But here, as soon as the temperature starts dropping here, it's gonna kind of suck. And I can avoid it by slowing down a lot, but then that just means less water I'm covering throughout the day. So I guess I'm gonna have to dress warm and try to stay waterproof. Alright, now to the hatch. The hatch, in my opinion, it's just a hatch. Like, there's nothing, but I do kind of like how the Old Town kayaks, how their hatches are. So this one, I don't think it's necessarily a con, but I think it definitely has room for a lot of improvement. Like, when you open it, you can't, it doesn't stay open. So when you're on the water, you have to hold it open with one hand and then dig out whatever you want to dig out. And they're updated now, but mine didn't come with that seal. So I do have videos from a while back where it was getting water inside when I would spray it off, or water would come over the bow. So the hatch is just the hatch. So I don't know, it's not really necessarily a pro or con, but this part of it sucks, that it just doesn't stay open. I'm not going to go in depth over the storage because I've done that in other videos, but the storage is it's more than enough, definitely more than enough, and it's very convenient storage areas too, and so that's definitely a pro in my opinion. Let's go to the rudder. I don't like the strings. I don't know. See if we can get in there. If you run around and your rudder is up, that's like what, a foot? More than a foot? Yeah, that's way too much string just dangling, and it always falls down in here. So I really wish that there was just a lever. A lever would be nice. It's not a hassle or anything, because I rarely am running around with my rudder up, but there is times where I need to, maybe go 50 yards, 100 yards without the rudder hitting the bottom. And then you got this just kind of dangling. The transducer for the Guardian, it's fine because usually once I'm on the water, I don't have it up inside the hull, and if I do, it's for a very, very short period of time. But again, just unnecessarily long freaking rope. But definitely for the rudder, I wish there was just some kind of like a lever. I guess Old Town kind of has that little lever. You kind of spin it. What is it, like? Either spins 180 degrees to deploy it or 90 degrees. I can't quite remember. But since we're on the subject of the rudder, let's go back. All right, so here's another con. Let me get this thing down. So the rudder itself works great, turns great, but I think they could have beefed it up because it's very flimsy. And you can see it's kind of like crooked and bent, which I can kind of see why they do that, because there has been times I've been like drifting sideways and the rudder would catch. And I feel like if the rudder was stiffer and beefier, I probably could have rolled it. But I never put the rear end of this kayak down on the ground to where the rudder was stressed. So all that like curvature and stuff in the rudder, that's just from like drifting along and hitting bottom sideways and stuff like that. But I think they could beef it up just a little bit. And then up here, this tangled mess is how you adjust like the rudder handles up front to, if they're loose or whatever. I had to adjust this once. So yeah, I've had it a year and I had to adjust it once, and all I had to do was tighten it so that both handles were even with each other. Because my right hand side was like, if I was going straight, the right hand side was kind of pointing, I don't know, like at the 2 o'clock position instead of the 12 o'clock. So, but even though that's a tangled mess, it's not quite as confusing as what it looks like and what it looked like when I first got into trying to adjust it. But there's got to be a better way. Like I wish they used rods instead of strings. Like my old Jackson, each of it was on a separate rod. So if you need to adjust it, that was simple. You just loosen it, move it up or down the rod, and then tighten it again. But this is just it's a mess. I haven't had any break yet, but I'm sure at some point that string is going to break. While we're still back here, another pro is definitely the grab handle. It's just, no matter what position you're in, if you're in the water, out of the water, it's just being able to put two hands and having some separation just makes it that much easier to maneuver the kayak around. And you can twist it, pick it straight up or down. It just makes it a lot easier than just having a single handle or a handle on one side or the other, not two. All right, let's get into what makes this baby go. This Mirage Drive, in my opinion, is definitely probably the best form of propulsion for a kayak. Oh, human propulsion, I guess. I guess you could put like a Bixby or a Torpedo or something on it. But I was really skeptical about when I first got this, just because the areas I fish, because I'm always hitting bottom. And I'm not hitting bottom just like crawling along. I'm going 4 mile an hour, 5 mile an hour, and just cracking the bottom with this. And I thought for sure, and I've already like accepted the fact that I was probably going to have to replace the fins at least once or twice, like the rod and fins, because I thought for sure I was going to definitely bend a rod, and I haven't yet. And as many oysters as I freaking hit, I really expected this to be torn up way more than what it is. I honestly think I can probably get another 6 months or maybe a year before replacing just the actual fins. The rods are fine. And as thin as, like small as them rods are, like I said, I thought for sure I'd have bent one or even broke one by now. And while we're on the subject of the fins, I'll talk about going through grass and stuff with these. That's where it really shines. I mean, not only going really shallow because you can flutter kick, but the grass especially. This right here, like I'm going to add this into my 1 year review, is just the ability to go through this grass and stuff. remember when I had my Jackson, I just couldn't. I had to keep clearing it. Let's see if we can get through this thicker stuff. I'm also trying to look for fish at the same time while doing this, but this just seems like a pretty good area to give it that test. But yeah, still going right through. It's getting a little shallow where I'm hitting bottom, but I'm still able to move right along in the grass. The rudder hits and kind of slows you down, but this is definitely one of the big pros. I haven't done any maintenance on it yet. I'm going to, but honestly, it feels the same as the day I got it. It's not like sticky, or I will say the pedals. I think I do get some creaking in the pedals here and there, but usually I just pull this off, put a little bit of grease or something on it, and I'm usually good to go for another, I don't know, few months. But yeah, the Mirage Drive, for my style of fishing, it definitely surpassed my expectations on the durability of it. So that's definitely a pro, and also the efficiency of it, just how easy it is to maintain, you know, like 4 mile an hour, even 5. All right, now with the forward and reverse, on how you go forward and reverse, it's not a con in my opinion. I haven't had any issues with any of these levers. A lot of people said they always break. I mean, I don't know how you're breaking the levers unless you're pulling out like you're trying to start a lawnmower. But obviously, instant reverse is always going to be better. But I think after like a week of using this, I could easily get into reverse or stop within 5 seconds. And that's not like fumbling and rushing. It's just like, you know, it's like muscle memory. Like, okay, I need to stop. And the more you do it, the quicker you are at it, just like anything else. We'll go back up. Another pro, and this kind of gets into the storage, but it's just the large hatch. I mean, nowadays you can do this yourself, really easy. See if I can get this thing out with one hand. All right. And then another thing good about the hatch is it just allows for easy access into the hull without having to only have one entry into the hull. Let's see. The seat is a pro and a con. The seats are really comfortable. However, I really wish, and I've been saying this, I think the best seats that I've ever sat in, well, I take that back. All right, the best adjustable seat is probably on the Feel Free Lure. I can't remember what they call that seat now, but I had a Feel Free Lure back in the day, and it had like 10 adjustments from basically flat onto the kayak, and then I want to say 10 inches high. I don't know if each click went 10 inches, but you were substantially higher than what this is, and this is in the high position right now. So I wish they had a little more height. And then another thing that I started noticing is it's getting noisier. This has just started though. I think I can fix it. I think it might just need like some lube around some areas, hopefully. But yeah, it gets kind of annoying out in the water. But as far as the seat goes, it's definitely all day comfort. Haven't really been uncomfortable yet, especially with the lumbar adjustment and just how easy it is to adjust. All you do is flip this lever, go forward, backward, whatever. That's it. Then you got the little lumbar knob right here, which I haven't messed with too much. I got it where I liked it and haven't really touched it since. Definitely another pro, just how easy it is to mount up your fish finder. Like that Guardian thing makes it perfect for someone like me that's going over oysters, or just because you can't always see them, especially when the water's murky. And then you got so much track to just put basically anything and everything you could ever want. I think they might have possibly did a little overkill on the how much gear tracks there is. I've not even used this yet. The only time I've used this is to secure tackle trays when I'm like trailering this down the road. But other than that, I haven't put anything on it yet. All right, my final thoughts after having the Outback for a year is, if something were to happen to this, like where the warranty didn't cover it, like say I accidentally broke it in half somehow, I would definitely buy another one. I don't think there's a perfect kayak. I'm pretty sure I could build, put one together in my head, but on the market, I don't think there's a perfect kayak, but this is about as close as perfect for me, I think, that I can get. So, like I said, if anything were to happen to this, I would definitely buy another one. And after a year, I haven't had any issues that were, I guess, frustrating. Like I said, the only thing I really had to do was kind of tighten up the rudder in the back, and it looked much worse than what it was, so it was actually fairly simple, but that could definitely be improved. What the heck, someone went out on a boat. But yeah, that's gonna wrap it up for the 1 year review. If you have any questions or anything that I need to go into more detail in, just leave them in the comments and I'll answer them the best I can. And I'll see you next time.